Devil Hunters Chainsaw Man chapter 163 titled Dream Balls has Denji stitched back together, Katana Man gets a sweet revenge, Fami should start a mukbang channel, and is the prison arc seemingly over? All this and more, but before we begin, if you can already see behind me, let me go ahead and pull it out. Thank you guys for 100,000 subscribers. This wouldn't even have happened if it wasn't for each and every one of you watching, so thank you so much for that. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and actually discuss what happened in chapter 162. We last ended things off with Quan Chi, the strongest weapon hybrid in the verse, against two horsemen of the apocalypse, Katana Man, the Nail Fiend, and the others. And what ultimately happened is that Quan Chi indirectly referenced Kishibe, saying an old friend told me not to mess with that one, because although I will admit that I am the stronger devil compared to Chainsaw Man, he is the most fearsome. And before I let you go, just so it looks convincing, I'm gonna need you to quote unquote eliminate me. And I did post a poll wondering, is Quan Chi going to end up joining this ragtag team of misfits to help Denji escape the prison arc? But alas, we don't see that. And what ends up happening in this chapter, as many of you have already read, is that there's no whereabouts of Quan Chi. We don't see anything in regards to Kishibe, which I think that would have been a nice touch if we would have seen maybe the POV of Kishibe, because it seemed like that's where Fujimoto could have left things off, but unfortunately we don't see that. Will we see Quan Chi down the road? I like to hope so, and all the weapon hybrids, because I think they all have a bigger role to ultimately partake in this final battle against the Nostradamus prophecy and the Death Devil. But this is still all to say, what I find the most jarring, and maybe this is just me, is that, hey, the prison arc is seemingly over. We got Denji, he's pieced back together, but look, I don't know what to say at this point, and many people are believers like me. Believe me, I'm a believer, I'm telling you. I'm just gonna say, we've seen 6 out of the 7. We should hopefully see this person down the road, and if we don't, well, this is really going to be a big talking point when Chainsaw Man Part 2 is all said and done. But channel surfing, Haruka notices that none of the news channels are talking about his group's breakout. Instead, they're talking about some idol called Koma Komagawa, who supposedly married an already married baseball star, but it's revealed these accusations of infidelity and home wrecking were fabricated by the tabloid that ran a doctored image. Nobana expresses relief, stating that he's a fan of Koma himself, though this doesn't ease Haruka's mind. And he exclaims, and I don't blame him, that this must be a dream, because there's no way in hell that despite millions of people are transforming into devils thanks to the Chainsaw Man Church, wars are breaking out, and the fact that a group of high schoolers that were once considered the top of the nation's most wanted list were able to escape scot-free, nobody's talking about them. So what is the biggest talking point I think Fujimoto wants us to take? Well, I think the public perception and maybe even the commentary on what is happening in today's society, and I say that very nuanced, of course, is that what would people rather hear about? They want to hear about celebrity gossip. They want to hear about stuff that makes them feel better. Quite frankly, things that turn off their monkey brain so they can just relax, because the truth sometimes hurt. And maybe we should focus on the actual problems that's happening right in front of us. But look, I'm just a guy on the internet talking about anime and manga at the end of the day. I think with so many comedic things Fujimoto does with all of his mangas, he's pretty creative when he has something to say. And whether or not this gets addressed, or this is just a one and done commentary on how people just perceive the public and the news around them, take that for what you will. But to bring it back, Haruka has gone through a lot of stuff, and you can't help but wonder how he has so much reason and logic with why he's rightfully so upset about what's being shown in front of him. Now, this is where Asa also pipes in about how nobody cares about her anymore despite her losing an arm, and how she was one of the most popular devil hunters around, but also adds that Denji being Chainsaw Man is the most surreal aspect of them all. Now, this was a big reveal in the previous chapter, and it seems like Asa and Yoru isn't denying this fact either. So I do like that, hey, they're admitting that Denji is Chainsaw Man at the end of the day, because how can you deny what you possibly saw back at the prison arc? Now, the Nail Fiend comments on how Denji looks cute sleeping, though Asa asks him if Katana Man is done in the bathroom. Nail Fiend tells her to go ask Fami to do something about it, though when she goes to ask her, she notices that she is devouring a plate of spaghetti among other food. Now, we've seen Fami, and her being the hunger and famine horseman of the apocalypse means that she's going to eat. Maybe this is how she literally recharges her abilities. And if that's the case, maybe I would even like to get some additional context as to why she really couldn't control Gilly just a few few chapters prior. More importantly, if this is how we even got context as to how she controlled the falling devil because she consumed so much leading up to the Nostradamus prophecy, I think that would also be a nice nod as well. But Fujimoto is doing Fujimoto things, and yes, Fami should start a mukbang. You grab a girl eating a huge plate of food in front of her. That'd be much more entertaining than, you know, some of the other people running mukbang channels. But I digress, because the biggest thing that everyone should celebrate over is the fact that Denji is put back together. He is conversing with Asa and the others, and immediately he asks Asa about her arm, to which she responds by saying that Yoshida cut it off. Denji asks why, but Asa isn't sure. Then when Denji wonders if he's dreaming, Katana Man stomps on his family jewels. He says he's finally got his revenge by saying, and I quote, "I could ring the gong of revenge with my own foot." And what is this a nice nod to? Well, if you guys remember what happened at the end of the Katana Man arc and what happened following the death of Himeno and Aki getting his sweet revenge on the woman, I forgot her name, who had the contract with the Snake Devil, him and Denji both kicked Katana Man's family jewels, and well, it was one for Himeno, rest in peace. And now we see Katana Man getting his revenge. And I love, out of all the things that we get full circle in this universe of Chainsaw Man, is Fujimoto making sure that Samurai Sword is getting his revenge on Denji, and that is there a round 3 around the corner? Possibly, who knows? Because with all the other things lined up that we have to figure out, and well, quite frankly, where the narrative needs to go, I don't think we're gonna see Katana Man versus Chainsaw Man Part 3 anytime soon. And if we do, it could quickly end similar to the way that Katana Man seemingly faced off against Quan Chi, and we know how that ended up turning out. But poor Denji, this man cannot get a break. This man went through so much, and the moment he wakes up wondering if his seemingly potential girlfriend is okay, to immediately just get hit in the family jewels, for immediately Asa to turn into Yoru, for Yoru to hit Denji in the family jewels and say, "I don't care about your human form, I want Chainsaw Man here right now so I can have my battle," continues the suffering of Denji. Fujimoto, give the man a break already. Jeez. And with all of this happening, Nobana ends up telling Haruka, "I don't feel safe," for only him to comment, "Well, we got nowhere else to go." Now, what is interesting is we do not see Segi Koku anywhere, but to see how things have played out in this story, how have you guys felt about this seemingly small prison break arc? Are you upset we didn't get more with Quan Chi? No POV from Kishibe? Oh, and by the way, the long-awaited Chainsaw Man Church Part 2 arc narrative video will come out tomorrow, so check that out. We're gonna discuss more things about Chainsaw Man in